Hello, and welcome to London Pinball.
Well, in a lot of circles, pinball machines are a relic from the past, but there are still some die-hard pinballers out there. For the past 20 years, Corey Cook has been repairing them at his home. It's a side gig from his job as an AV tech at King's University College. But at the end of the month, Cook is switching gears and pursuing the world of pinball repairing full-time. And as he tells the CBC's Angela McInnes, what seems like a niche skill set is actually in high demand.
Hi there, my name is Corey Cook and I repair pinball machines.
And where are we right now, Corey?
We are standing in my garage in North London, which doubles as my workshop. I've got several pinball machines and video arcade games. They span from the late 70s to the 90s. My main focus of pinball repair tends to be the 60s, 70s, and 80s. However, I do dabble in some 90s and up pinball. And of course, everybody loves the arcade machines from the 80s.
Take me back to how this all began. How did you get into this business?
A little more than 20 years ago, I had a desire to get a video arcade game. I grew up in the arcades of Sarnia and Grand Bend, and I always thought it would be really cool to own my own arcade machine. And I wasn't really into pinball at the time, but I managed to find, with the help of some family, I managed to find my first video arcade machine, which was a Double Dragon, for anybody that remembers the 80s. And I found that it was more fun to tinker with it, to take it apart and put it back together and fix it and learn how it all worked, than it was to actually play it. Doing that led me into, ultimately, pinball. I would buy and sell video arcade machines. I would buy them, fix them up, sell them, and eventually I got into, somebody offered me a pinball machine in trade for a video arcade machine. So I'd never even seen the inside of a pinball machine before, ever. So I thought, why not? I'll figure it out. And I distinctly remember standing in front of this machine, this broken machine that had all kinds of issues, and rubbing my chin and thinking to myself, how am I going to make this work? I'm either going to figure it out or I'm going to get rid of it. And so with the help of the internet, I sat down and I read every single possible thing I could find on how to fix pinball machines. And so I fixed that machine up and I sold it, and I bought a couple more broken machines, and then I fixed those up and sold them and bought a few more. And over time, my experience allowed me to start bringing in machines that belonged to other people. And then the phone started ringing, and people wanted me to go and do house calls throughout London. And I had no idea that there was such demand.
Who has all these pinball machines? How popular is this?
You'd be amazed at how many there are around. I mean, when you consider that pinball's been around since the 30s, and those machines, they never really they often got thrown out, but often the operators that purchased them to put in the arcades, they would sell them to the public. And so you've literally got hundreds of thousands of pinball machines that were made all the way from like 1937 on up to the present day that have been sold to the public. And so around London, for example, I have a couple of hundred customers that I see somewhat regularly. And there's new ones calling me and trying to get in touch with me all the time. And of course, having a family and a full-time job, I could never meet the demand. I could never keep up, which leads to where we are today.
What do people say when you tell them this is what you do full-time?
Well, I haven't actually started doing it full-time. I start at the end of this month. I'm leaving my full-time job of 20 years to pursue my dream. The pandemic made me very self-reflective and conscious of the passage of time, and I thought perhaps it was time to change it up, do something different, and follow my passion.
And this is your passion.
It is. A lot of people get into pinball for various reasons. I mean, there's the artwork, there's the gameplay, there's the competitiveness, there's, people kind of congregate around a machine while you're playing, but I always found it was most fun to fix them. In the solitude of my workshop, when it's quiet, late at night, I can open up a machine and dig into, its issues, figure out how it works, and make it work better than ever. And it's fun.
That is Corey Cook of London Pinball. He's been repairing pinball machines for the past 20 years on the side of his day job, but at the end of the month, he'll be pursuing his passion full-time.